Hi everyone. We wanted to start this episode with a trigger warning. Girls of Paper and Fire is a trilogy that deals with trauma as a result of many different forms of abuse, and that includes rape. So if that's something that you guys feel sensitive to or uncomfortable listening to, please skip this episode. We want everybody here to feel safe and welcome. Additionally, if you or somebody you know is going through a difficult time, a traumatic experience, and they need some sort of help, please read our episode description for different resources to help get you through that. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening, and happy Pride Month, everyone. Hello, bookworms, bibliophiles, and lovers of all things literature. Welcome to the next chapter of the Braless Book Guild podcast, where we discard our bras and overcome adversity to talk about books both published and unpublished. We are your hosts, Jenna.
Hi, guys.
I'm Marissa, and this is Megan.
Hello.
Before we get started, let's talk about what we're drinking. Megan, what are you drinking today?
I went to a nearby coffee shop and had a debate with the owner while I got my chai tea latte. And it's iced, because even though it is overcast today...
Oh, it's humid today, and I don't like it.
I still wanted something iced.
Well, we are in June. June does, make us think warm weather, so...
Yeah.
It does feel like you should have iced things in June. Marissa, who's not drinking an iced thing.
Yeah, that's because Jenna made mine, and she didn't make it iced, because she didn't even ask.
I didn't. I was just rude and made her hot tea.
She didn't ask if I wanted some tea, because she went out and got her tea, too. Then she just came in here, she's like, what do you want?
In all fairness, I was hooked up with my tea. I didn't get it. So, it was a fair trade for lunch. They gave me tea. But I got a matcha mule from our local tea shop, where they do the matcha in ginger tea and add a little bit of... This is actually yuzu puree, because apparently limeade just doesn't exist this year, so they added yuzu, which is cool. I'll take the yuzu. But
Want a fun fact?
yeah.
In Korean, it's yuja.
Yuja.
Yeah. So anytime I hear yuzu, I'm just like, what is that? Oh, citron.
Yeah. Yes, citron.
But it's...
So that's what I'm drinking today. Marissa, would you like me to tell you what you're drinking today?
I know I'm drinking the Orange Blossom from Republic Tea.
Yes, Marissa's prepared.
Yeah, I know that's what it's called. I don't know what it is. I think it's a white tea, but...
It is a white tea.
See?
Yeah.
Look, I know what I'm drinking today. All right, so it is the end of Pride Month, everybody. So sad, but when you're gay, every month is Pride Month, so don't worry about it. At the end of this month, we decided that we were all going to read the Girls of Paper and Fire trilogy. And we all read and finished that, and now we are going to discuss the entire trilogy. So if you guys have not read this trilogy, I would recommend reading it before listening to this episode. I don't know how quickly we'll get into spoilers here.
I think we
Very
should just
quickly.
go straight into spoilers. No straightness here. Directly
gaily
into
forward.
Gaily forward into... Yeah, I kind of agree on this one. I think we'll do a really short intro of no spoilers, so we can give what the book is about, kind of our opinions on it and stuff like that, so people can decide if they think they want to go for it or not. And then we'll jump into spoilers pretty quickly on this one. We do have 3 books to get through for it, but really it was all one big story, so I think it's we can talk about it pretty all-encompassing in that sense.
Yes.
The Girls of Paper and Fire is by Natasha Gon, I think is how we pronounce it. I am so sorry if it is wrong. Before I go into the description of what happens, I don't know if you guys had anything you wanted to say as far as any intro to going into this book, what you knew about it beforehand, anything like that.
So we all read it because it was an
I
Owl
did
Crate
not.
book.
Jenna didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No, you guys read it for an Owl Crate book. I did not. And then you guys were like, it was actually really good. And then weirdly, my mother-in-law read it, I think. I don't know if she actually ever finished it. But she picked it up off my shelf and started reading it. So I just knew that you guys said it was really good. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And that's what made us decide to read all 3 of them, is you guys hadn't finished the series and I never even read it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that because I remember your mother-in-law reading the book, and you were surprised, and she was liking it, and I knew it was queer, so that made me want to read it, and I ended up reading the first book. But like any Alcrate book, we got the book when it came out, so
Yeah.
when sequels happened, I just never kept up with it.
Yeah, same.
So Girls of Paper and Fire, specifically the first book, follows Lay, who is of the paper caste, which in this world there are 3 castes of people. The paper is kind of your basic human, nothing really special about them. You have the steel, which have some sort of animalistic trait, not a major one, but something, usually just something small like horns or something like that. And then you have the demon caste, which is almost fully animalistic traits in a humanoid form.
Anthropomorphized.
Yeah. The demon caste is the ruling caste, the highest caste of it all. And Lay is paper, so she is the lowest caste of it all. And at the beginning of the book, she gets taken by the Royal Guard or Royal
General
Army or
Yu.
something. Yeah. To go be a paper girl, which...
Mostly because she had gold eyes. And that was it.
She had... Her big thing is that she has golden eyes, and it's very rare.
Oh, and she was
and
born on
stands
the New
out.
Year, and that was auspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she gets taken to be a paper girl who is basically a courtesan, I guess?
Concubine?
Concubine? Yeah, I think concubine would be the better word.
A 1-year concubine.
Yeah.
They're only supposed to be paper girls for 1 year. Every year they get new ones.
Also, it's important that she's 16.
Yeah.
Wait,
No,
actually-
she's not 16.
She is 16.
She is not. The youngest girl is 16. She was 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's 17
You're
because on your
right.
18th is when her birth pendant opens.
Yeah,
You're
She is
correct.
17 and
So-
she's supposed to get her.
By the end of the book, she's 18.
Yes.
Let's put this all together, though, guys. They're between 16 and 18-year-old concubines.
They're not. They're victims.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they
Children.
they are stolen to basically be sex slaves. Specifically for the king, though. It is his
no one's allowed-
personal
Yeah.
girls that he has. And then a lot of the story for the first book is just her kind of learning that life and being traumatized by it.
Yeah.
But while there, she meets one of the other paper girls, RAINN, who she very quickly discovers is plotting to kill the king.
yeah.
I don't think that would be much of a spoiler. I think that is something that happens quick enough on in the book, and especially in just the first book, that
It's about
This is what
halfway
happens.
through, I'd say. So it's a semi spoiler, but also kind of not. I think that you go into it kind of knowing that that's where this is going.
I think the very first part of the book is kind of just learning about the world and the trauma of
Yeah.
what's going to happen in it. Whereas the other part of the book is the rebellion against it.
Right.
But yeah, once again, not going into too much more spoilers. Like I said, the rest of the book is kind of dealing with that trauma and also kind of the rebellion against this terrible system that's in place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going into it for me, for the first book, I think it was interesting to read the world building of it all. And I think it was very... I think it was very emotional for a lot of it, and that is something I very much appreciated about
Yeah.
the book. I don't know about you guys.
I just want to say, all I imagined was Zootopia characters for any of the Moon Chosen. So the king is a bull demon. So I was imagining Idris Elba's character, who is, I think, he's not even a bull. I think he's a water buffalo.
Yeah, I think
in
so.
Zootopia. And for anyone who doesn't know, Idris Elba is like one of my all-time favorite actors. And I think he is amazing in everything that he does, and including Zootopia. And all I imagined was him, that
That's so funny.
police chief.
It's funny because I kept imagining something, and I was trying to tell Marissa, like, I can't explain what I'm imagining, and I don't know why. And as soon as you said Zootopia, I was like, that's it! Like, that's almost exactly what it was for me.
Yeah.
These humanoid animals.
Yeah,
That
and
was-
I mean that's what it was really. That's
Yeah.
how they
Yeah.
described him too. It wasn't like, oh, he just had like fur on his skin. It was like, no, they're just these like
Long
bipedal, like
Yeah.
yeah, animals.
Yeah. I was interested. It was funny because I remember thinking like, oh, there's symbolism in this. I was thinking like I told Marissa, I was like, I thought like the author was going with the fact that like these are paper girls, they're human. And the reason she wanted the king to be the bull demon, wanted him to be, is that she didn't want him to be attractive. She didn't want it to be like someone was like shipping him or like there was any type of like attraction there. But like the first thing they do when they see him is like, he is handsome. And I was like, oh, well, that went out the window. I guess that's not what she was thinking. Like it was this like, he's still supposed to be handsome for who he is. And they still find the moon demons still beautiful. And they've always described them as like beautiful, even though they're the oppressors kind of. Not all of them, but.
So that's something I had to work through too, of like why go with the animal traits and all of that, because, and we'll talk more in depth on it, but one of the big things, one of the big themes of this book, I think, is the like racism in it.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, I was off put by the animal traits. Now, obviously, some people really like that, and that's totally fine. That's totally good. But for me personally, that was like one of my least favorite parts about this book was the animal traits of these people. And in my head, I'm like, just make them like races. Just do it. Like, I understand this is just an overall thing of being like, this race is better than this race and whatever.
Yeah.
And even in like the interactions between the different types and the clans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And how there's like racism in that. I was like, just make it like different societies and different races, like that are human races. But I also can understand the delicate nature of that, of deciding which ones to go with and not wanting to offend anybody in particular. So when you do it as an animal, you're not saying like, oh, this animal is very obviously the Koreans and then this animal is very obviously the Japanese. It's like,
Yeah.
That's actually a thing that I wanted to say, was that her combining a lot of the different cultures into just one giant culture, I thought was actually really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she gave it justice, not to the, like, because, you know, sometimes if you combine one, everyone's just like, oh, it's just Asian.
Yeah.
It's just the typical Asian. But no, she did, like, she gave, like, pretty good homage to Chinese culture and a little bit to Japanese culture and Korean culture. And
Indian. There was some Indian.
yeah,
in
Indian
there.
in there as well. And I thought all together it worked really well. And like you said, it wasn't differentiated. It was all together and not so homogenous, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was something that like, yeah, at first I'm all like, why are we doing these animals? Just make them different
Yeah.
people. But now I get it.
Yeah, I liked how she did it, and I liked that just because they were demon cast, the moon cast, didn't make them ugly, and it didn't make like it. They still found, you know, they have their allies that were of the moon cast, and so it wasn't like, oh, all moon casts are bad and all papers are good. We're all overthrowing the moon cast. It's like. There was still tension between casts and everything as the books progressed too. So
That was something I put on my pros list for this book, is the balance of good and bad for both sides.
Yes.
It was never like, this is the good side, this is the bad side.
Oh
It
my
was
God,
like,
yes.
this is the side that you're supposed to be rooting for, but there are people in it that suck. And this is the side that you're supposed to be against, but there are people in it that are okay and you understand their victims too.
right,
I really, really loved, especially in the third book when we get into the spoilers, how she dealt with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like especially the difference. I also enjoyed within the demon casts how like the cat demons and the bird demons were like rivals with each other, and so not everyone got along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really
exactly.
good. It wasn't just, you know, demons against humans.
yeah,
Yeah.
There was so much like political stuff in here that was really well done.
I think it was very well, like, it was very three-dimensional in everything that
Yes.
she wrote. Like, her characters, I think a lot of them were very three-dimensional. They were deep characters that grew and changed, that had their own motivations. It was never like, we're all part of the same group, so we all have the same goal, because it wasn't.
yeah.
I think, yeah, there are different ways that they interacted with each other based on A, how they looked, B, what they did, was so good.
Yeah.
I loved the way she depicted trauma and it affecting each person differently.
Yes.
Specifically with the paper girls. With everyone, it happened, and you saw it in other forms and with other people. But to me, you watched there's supposed to be 8 paper girls, and she's the 9th, the paper girl that comes in. So it was like a big hubbub when she comes in, and that's very quickly established that she's 9th. And how each of them cope with being a paper girl, and how, like, for most of them, they were, like, offered by their family to the king.
Yeah.
Because it was like a place of prestige to get chosen as a paper girl, and your family's, like, taken care of, whereas she was not offered. She was, like, torn from her family. And she was torn after her mom had been torn from her family. So she's, like, kind of hoping she can find her mom, find out what happened to her, and all this stuff. But each of them handle that differently. And, like, Marissa and I kind of specifically talked about, and I'm probably going to butcher her name, but Aoki.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was the youngest girl, and she was the one that was 16, like, right at the, like, turning of age where she can be taken. And she at first was super traumatized by being raped by the king, and then fell in love with him. And it's like, that's such a thing for young girls that are shown just a little bit of affection and attention to, like, grasp onto people that hurt them, and then not being able to just, like, overcome it. It wasn't like Aoki just, like, woke up one day and was like, you're right, he's horrible. Like, she still held on to that love that she had for him
until the very end
until
of the
the
series.
very end of the series. And it's like she that was her coping mechanism with the trauma of what happened to her. And Ren was, like, built to be a warrior, and her coping mechanism was to, like, fight and attack and hurt. And Lei was still trying to just hold on to her humanity and be her, and not let him take from her everything. And it's like, it's interesting how, and then you saw Blue, who was, like, kind of this angry girl, and like, she was angry at everyone and attacked in a different way from Ren. She was just attacking everyone that she could because she's just lashing out. And it was just so interesting how she encompassed each person's trauma differently.
Yeah. I think that was such a great thing in this book, too, is that the 2 major themes that I got from this book were the racism and inequality and trauma, and just how to overcome trauma and cope with trauma. And she wrote emotion and trauma very well. I think that was her strongest point in this book, was writing that, and writing that in a very raw, honest, and unique way that wasn't just, like, you only got one perspective of it, like you were saying.
Yeah.
You got multiple perspectives of it.
It was very, very well done, because I think that it's too easy sometimes for people with trauma to be like, this hurt me, so I hurt other people, or this hurt me, so I'm going to be the good guy. And it's like, you only see black or white of trauma, not all the different ways that it could be gray and how it could affect different people.
Yeah. I don't know if you did, but Megan, do you want to talk about the afterword that she wrote? Because I didn't read that.
I just listened to, like, the first minute of it. But basically the author has been through some trauma, and she discussed how this was her way of expressing it, and how after the first one was released, this was from the second afterword of the second book, and she talked about how she never expected so many people to contact her and come forward about their own trauma, and how this book has helped them, like, recognize it and, you know, see it in a character that they care about, and you know, see it mirrored, I guess, from themselves. And then at the end of the third one, I thought she made, like, a little nice note where she just said, I hope I, you know, did it justice.
Right.
I do think
read
that
the
she
third
did.
one.
Yeah, I think she did great. I think it really showed her understanding of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was, I loved the overall themes of this book. The big overall themes, and the way she touched on them, and the way she talked about them without without, like you said, making like, oh, these are the good guys, we root for the good guys, like, let's overthrow the Capitol. Like, Capitol's bad guys. Even in the courts, there was, like tension and backstabbing, and it wasn't, and they had like spies in the courts that were against the king, and it's like, you didn't just have like, here's the group of the ruling class and they all are against the papers and therefore the papers have to rise up. It's like, it was done in such a way that felt more realistic and felt more messy, which I liked. I thought that was good.
So, I think we've talked a lot about this book and kind of given everybody a good idea of what they would be expecting if they haven't read it yet. So going into spoilers, I would like to just start off with, does anybody have their favorite part or like their favorite moment or thing in this book that happened or that hit you very hard or hit, stuck with you?
For me, it was mostly just the action sequences. I think that's where her writing really shined. I enjoyed a lot of her, just most of the action sequences, especially in like book 2, when there's actually a lot of fighting, like actual battles and stuff. And book 3, obviously the final battle, was really well written, and I felt very engaged with it. And it kind of, you meet all these characters throughout the course of the series, and then here they are showing how they're kicking butt. And so that really stuck with me. And I think that's probably the only reason I finished the series was for the action.
What about you, Jenna?
I'm trying to think of like my favorite part of the book, like what it would have been. For me, it was the overall feel of the book. To me, was just what I enjoyed about it. There wasn't like a specific part where I was like, I'm really enjoying this book. It was just like, wow, she wrote this well. Wow, she covered these issues and did it in a way that really felt like she did justice to it. I enjoyed almost every time that Lay was interacting with
Ren?
Not Ren.
Okay.
Nita?
No, like the others. I want to say like
the other paper girls?
The ones that weren't the core one. Like, so when her and Chenna developed a relationship in the third book.
Yeah.
I loved
when her
Chenna
and Lil, like,
she deserved better.
Yeah. When her and Lil had this like connection, and when she was close with Mistress Azami.
Yeah,
it was like,
even that was a good relationship.
Those moments she connected with people that weren't necessarily main characters but were more supporting cast. Like, it didn't make them feel like just, oh, I'm a throwaway character. Those were like genuine moments that, and even Zell, was it Zell?
Yeah, Zell.
And her like training her how to go to the king and everything, and it's like, look, like, you just have to find yourself, like, realize he can't take anything from you. Like, he can take from you, but you're still yourself. Find those things that are still going to be you, because you're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to get through it. So even though he's stealing this from you, don't let him take you and lose yourself. And it's like these people that helped her become who she was, I thought was my favorite moments.
I had a lot of favorite moments, I think, and like you said, yeah, the overall like message behind everything was big, but there are certain things that stood out. Action scenes were great. The siege on the palace was probably one of the best scenes in the book. Honestly, like, my big things were stuff like the fact that Nita just did not care that she was crippled.
Yes. Oh my god.
She just
that's also in the foreword.
Yeah.
Or in the afterward. I don't know.
I think the representation of having Nita, even though she's paralyzed.
Yeah.
By the end of book 2, she ends up being paralyzed, but still kicking butt.
Yeah.
Taking names. And
in
being
the battle.
Like, yeah.
Not just like, okay, well, I'm paralyzed, so I'll hang back here, and,
She's got a battle chair.
Yeah. Like, it was instantaneous, and it wasn't like I'm so upset because I lost the use of my legs. It was like, no, I'll go after your ankles. I don't care.
Right. That was also actually in the author's notes at the end of book 3 too. She talks about wanting to represent disabilities because she has a degenerative condition too. The author does, and she goes, and sometimes you just sit there like, I'm going to be stuck with this for the rest of my life, and not letting that define you, like realizing that's a part of you, but it doesn't take away who you are.
Yeah.
And so it was important to her to write Nita that way. And I loved that.
And then another thing, I didn't like this part, obviously, but Jenna and I talked about...
Oh, I wanted to talk about it, but I felt like it was really wrong to say aloud. That's my favorite part. But
it's not our favorite part because we liked that it happened, because it sucks that it happened, but we are glad there wasn't the protagonist armor on her. And especially in the first book, she did get raped.
Yeah.
Because for a while they were pushing it off. It was her being defiant, and she was able to get out of it like the first like 1 or 2 times or whatever.
Yeah.
But it eventually happened, and it really sucked, and that really like tore something in me when I was reading it. But I'm glad that it happened because it gave more weight to it, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to happen.
Yeah, you
but
don't want something bad to happen to her, but at the same time, if she had gone through the whole book without it ever happening to her, but happening to all the other paper girls, I think it would have taken so much away from this whole series. I think that not that you wouldn't have cared that it, but it just she wouldn't have had the trauma that...
It would have changed her character a lot if it didn't.
Right. And this was this is a horrible situation. This is horrible that the king takes these young girls, these children, and does this to them. But for the protagonist to not have it actually happen to her and have that like protagonist armor would have been a huge detriment to people, I think, that actually have gone through with it.
Yeah.
And have been on the other side of it.
On the opposite end of that, I did message in our group chat when I was like rereading book 1, and I was like, I really like that RAINN is the battle one who has like her family was like massacred, and she's the only one who survived, and she has like basically the protagonist like cliche is on RAINN, and I was like, I love this. And then of course it flip-flopped, and it turned out, oh, we're gonna actually train Lay to be this battle hardened warrior, and I was just like, oh, I was kind of wishing it would have stuck with RAINN, and she could have been like the sidekick of the chosen one, quote quote.
I was telling Megan, it was funny for me because I just read Jasmine Throne, and Jasmine Throne, the love story is very soft. The love story, not that it's soft, it's a good love story, but it's just so well written, and they're both very, very obviously women. And even though they're warriors and they're facing their things, for me, RAINN sometimes almost read like a male love interest in another book that just happened to be a woman that was also going through stuff. And it was like, I am the warrior and I love you and let me protect you because I'm the one that's the warrior. And I was like, this could read like, and it totally made it, I was like, suddenly there's a different understanding of, but make it gay for the trope because it felt like a heterosexual love story sometimes. But we're going to change the sex of that one really quick.
Which brings me to also one of my favorite things. I think book 3 is my favorite book of the 3. Book 2 is definitely my least favorite, but book 3 was one of my favorites, and one of the reasons is that we got RAINN's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that, and I know Jenna, when she first started it, because she's like, ugh, you start reading from RAINN, and I'm so mad at her right now, and I don't want to read about her. But I loved it because it gave her her own, our insight into her. And I think that helped a lot because you got Lay's biased opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting her just raw, like, 1, you understand that she really does love Lay. 2, you understand the trauma that she's going through with her family.
Right.
And just understanding, like, her trying to find her own person and not the person she's expected to be.
By the second or third chapter of RAINN, I enjoyed her side of it. And I actually almost preferred reading her side to Lay's in the 3rd book. But at first the second book was awful, guys. The second book, I'm sorry. Look, Natasha,
we love you, but also.
But it fell into second book syndrome. It was filler story that we didn't want to rush to, and we wanted to add in characters, and we wanted to add tension between these 2 main characters so that in book 3 they could start out apart and have a reason to want to come together but not be perfectly happy.
Now, that being said, I'm going to interrupt you here really quickly. That being said, I think the reason why RAINN and Lay separated, other than the like physical separation, but the like emotional separation that they had, was legitimate and great.
Yes.
Of Lay loving her but not fully being able to trust her, and not understanding the lengths that Ren had to go through and finding out that Ren was not the person that she thought she was.
Let's talk about Ren. I have a lot to say about Ren. And this actually stems from a conversation that Jenna and I had based on the fanfiction Manacled. And if we hadn't had that discussion, I think I would have hated Ren and not ever forgiven her.
Really?
So for those who are listening to this and are not reading the series, basically Ren and her family are out killing people to blame it on the king so that way they can get allies. And I think that is the absolute worst way to get allies. Because if it ever comes out, which it did, you're going to lose all the allies. And they did. And I understand how important that was to the book itself. But basically what Jenna kind of discussed with Manacled was that, you know, you do stuff in war that is unforgivable. And it can change who you are as a person, but there are still aspects of you that are like, you know, still you, I guess. And is the stuff like, are you able to overcome the things that you do in order to save yourself or those that you loved? It's very convoluted. It's very difficult. And for me, I would not have ever forgiven Ren because she killed innocent people in cold blood.
Yeah.
Just because her father told her to. And so it's very difficult for me to understand why she did that. And if I was Leia, I would never see her again.
I understand that completely. And I'm going to defend her in a way.
See, this is what I want. I want the defense because I still have a hard time with that.
I don't think it's necessarily enough to be forgivable or anything, but I do understand her perspective, and I see it in a larger sense too of how she was raised.
Yeah.
Because it is that nurture aspect of it, of she was told this is right. This is the right thing. It's not wrong. And so that comes into the whole, like, even though, and when you get her perspective in the third book, you get that she's like, yeah, I feel guilty about this, but not enough because in my head it was right.
Yeah.
And so it's her changing her view because she now has that outside perspective of Leia coming in and being like, look, that was wrong. And she's like, wait, what do you mean that was wrong? Because I was told that was right.
Yeah.
Right. And
I agree. I think that the third book, if we hadn't got Ren's perspective, I would have hated her. Because it would have felt a lot like Leia, I love you so much that I'm just going to look past all this you did. You know, like, it would have felt like, I'm going to forgive you because I love you enough. And I think you feel bad, even though you don't know whether or not she feels bad. But when you watch her with her father in the third book, and all he asks of her, it took him asking for Leia to sacrifice herself for her to finally be like, I can't do this anymore. This is the one thing you can't ask of me that I'll give you. Because her father raised her to be a warrior. He raised her with that birth blessing word as sacrifice, thinking that everything she was doing was a sacrifice for the greater good. And like, this was the only way to get through that. And this is what your Zia ancestors would have done. They were warriors. They would do this. And so it's like, it was just such a part of her that she never thought to question her father, because of course the king is horrible. Why? But her father loves her and raised her this way. Why would you think to question the people that love and raise you? You know. And I think that moment when Leia does stand up and tell her, like, wait a minute, you guys might be just as bad. You guys, you know, like, what are we facing?
I didn't realize you were the enemy.
Right.
That was the big thing.
It was like, that was her stopping and thinking, like, oh crap, like, she didn't all of a sudden go, you're right, Leia, like, because that would be unrealistic. Whoever gets told they're wrong and just like goes, wow, you're right. Like, of course they're going to defend themselves. They do things with that thought and like in their mind. And Leia talks about that at one point with her killing Lady Eola or whatever, and how she was like, even though your dad wasn't there, he lives in your mind because he raised you. So he like built you to be that way. You knew that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me specifically, was that was not a her dad told her to kill.
Yeah.
And that's where it came to me of, like, that's what she was raised.
Yeah.
She understood this will make him proud. This is what he would want. So I'm going to follow what
Right.
he would want because she's following the guide that she had.
Right.
And so coming to Lay, who pointed out, like, no, that's not right. That makes you just as bad, makes you worse even because you're doing it in the name of good.
Yeah.
And that's where her mindset starts to change. But like you said, she's not going to be like, oh yeah, you're right. She's going to look at it and be like, wait, are we the bad guys? But that's not right.
Yeah. But no, he's really worse because he raped me. Because that's what's going down to. Like, it's going to be the direct monster to you. So she thinks of him as, well, my father's this loving person who raised me, and this is the horrible man that raped me. And even at the end, she's like, has to deal with the trauma of the fact that her father willingly sent her to be raped by a king so that she could kill him.
Yeah, that was a big thing too.
Yeah.
When she realized, like, yeah, he sent me out to be raped. Like,
Yeah.
he sent me out to this worst possible situation
Yeah.
to further his goal.
Yeah.
But then also getting the other side of when Lay started to realize what Ren was going through and understanding, like, yeah, there's no way to go through this war without casualties and without having to kill somebody.
Right.
And when she, Cain? Was it Cain that?
Yeah.
Her teacher, yeah.
Yeah.
Shifu.
Yeah, when she had to kill him as a mercy,
Yeah.
it was like, even though her killing was way different than what Ren was doing, it got to her. She's all like, I just killed somebody good and innocent.
Yeah.
And then when she saw Ren again, she's like, what is she going to think? I just killed her lifelong friend that she's had.
Yeah.
What is she going to think of me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how you do see all those parts of it. I wanted to talk about, I was proud in the way that it didn't fall into every other book doing this, but disappointed in the way that they handled killing Katai. I almost wanted Ren to kill him.
Oh.
I wanted her to come back and realize, like, this was the final straw. I can't let you live, because if you live, you're going to be just as bad as the king. And I kind of wanted something like that to happen.
I disagree. I like the way
That's
it
what I
ended,
was going to say.
but-
I liked how it ended because I liked that it wasn't like every other book, but I almost wanted that justice for her. That moment of, like, realization that, yes, he is that bad. Yes, this is going to happen. And
See, but opposite is that I wanted the justice for him of having his hubris kill him.
yeah.
I wanted...
like his own downfall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I wanted him
Yeah.
to realize that he aimed too high. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's... And this all just shows the complexity of all the
Right.
characters, too. And what I was talking about, where it was never just a black and white. It was never... Lay was never just perfectly good and innocent. She
Right.
had her flaws.
I'm glad they didn't, but let's be 100% honest, Lil should have been killed.
How dare you?
I'm glad that they didn't. I'm really glad they didn't. I love Lil. I
Would
didn't
you-
want her to die. But
Would you have sacrificed Lil and gotten Chenna back?
Yes.
it
Sorry.
it wasn't about sacrifice or anything. It was purely from the other perspective of the king was killing everyone that had any connection to her.
I did
And-
think that was weird.
And they kept the paper girls alive for a very specific reason, because he wanted her to get close to them again. He wanted her.
Yeah.
He wanted to
Yeah.
torture her with them, and then he wanted to sacrifice them where she couldn't save them.
Which
so
another favorite part of my book was that whole thing turning
The
around.
present thing.
yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
he's like, we're going to get married. Here's your presents. They're deaths.
yeah,
but
and
I
I was like,
loved
dang.
that fight. Like, we were talking about her writing fight scenes, and
Yeah.
I loved when the girls just
all
all
sort.
swarmed Madam whatever.
Himura.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Himura. When they all swarmed her, and just all of them got their revenge at that moment. I'm like, yes, that was... Mwah.
Yes, that moment was really good, and that was it was a good spot in the book that, like, was written so well, and it was so beautifully done, and for them to all escape at that point was beautiful as well. But yeah, there was so much about the book that just felt like it didn't make sense to me, and Lil surviving was kind of one of those. Like, he would have killed everyone that didn't serve a purpose. He wouldn't have, like, oh, and that's her maid? Yeah, whatever. Send her to the night court. It's fine. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to forget all about her. He was literally like all in the second book they talk about he's just like breaking woman after woman in like impotent rage. So I was like, she would have been killed for even having any type of.
I agree.
Yeah,
I do see that point, and I really liked in book 2, and this is what I wish book 2 would have been, was we had more of the palace. We only had 2 chapters from the palace, and one of them was Aoki going to the king, and it was his first time after the end of book 1 when Lei basically stabs his eyeball and then cuts his throat, but doesn't kill him. She, like, Aoki going there and him being like, oh yeah, well, we'll figure things out and everything's going to be fine. And I'm like, oh shoot, he's going to kill her right now. And he didn't.
And we thought he had just killed her family. I was like, this is twisted. He's sleeping with her while his people are killing her family. Turns out it was RAINN. But I was like, whoa.
Well, it wasn't RAINN. It was
RAINN
her.
Didn't kill her family,
yeah,
but
it was Katai's soldiers.
The
Yeah.
Hanos.
The Hanos. Freaking Hanos. But then we got the other one, which was Mistress Azami, I think. Azami, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And her, like, seeing Lil again and being like, okay, you're with me.
Yeah.
And we're going to be fine. Don't you worry. But I wish we had a lot more of the political intrigue of the actual palace in book 2. Mm-hmm. And Jenna and I were talking about it. It should have just been one really big book.
Oh, yeah.
Like one 600-page book. And I feel book 2 just nixed that. And RAINN manages to escape, but Lei is trapped in the palace still. And then just get rid of book 2. And it's like she almost managed to kill him, but didn't. And then they have to find their way back to each other.
Or even if they had escaped and, like, because there was the whole point of book 2, I think, was her finding out the depths to which the Hanos were going to.
Yeah.
So they would have had to escape or find that out and figure that out in some way, I feel like. But that could have happened in a much shorter way. They didn't have to go on an entire book-long adventure that failed in every way possible. Just for her to be recaptured and end up back at the palace again.
Exactly. That's why.
Like, yeah. There should have been something that led to that, but
I think a really good thing, like you said, if it was a big, like, 600-page book, I would like it to be written from, like, a lot of perspectives, like a Game of Thrones type thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what would have helped with taking away book 2. That's what you would have needed to get stuff like the bird people's society and their perspective on everything. Like, you would have to see an outside perspective of that. It didn't necessarily have to be Lei going in there.
Yeah.
Book 2 served its purpose for what it was of being a middle book, but it just, like you said, dragged it out. There was a lot in there that I feel like could have just condensed.
We got to meet Bo, and then Bo died.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I got really annoyed with Bo, and I usually love the, like, I call them
Bo.
Okay, I normally love those kind of characters.
Yeah.
Like, I call them the Naruto characters, the ones that are just kind of over the top, kind of like slightly
Goofy.
annoying.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, Naruto's my favorite character in Naruto. And I love those, like, cheeky, silly characters. I got so sick of Bo because we had Nita. Nita was basically the same. And then once Bo died, then we met, what's her name? The ex-girlfriend.
Oh,
Lova, which was annoying. Lova was the worst. Sorry.
She was basically the same as Bo. Like, the way she was snarky was the same as Bo. And she was so annoying. She was so annoying.
What was the whole point of her being like, I'm still interested in RAINN? Nothing ever came of it. It was
for the jealousy aspect.
Yeah.
But also, I didn't like it. I very much did not like the addition of that character. I think they could have done it in a different way. But she was a good example of her thinking, like, okay, RAINN is paper, I'm demon, we can coexist. And if we joined our families together and we were in love with each other and we made this pact, we'd be super strong. So I got that aspect of it. And this goes into one of my biggest complaints about the writing style in this. I did not like the dialogue of this book.
Yeah.
All of the dialogue felt very forced. So, like, her introduction and her introduction dialogue was so cringy and off-putting to me. because she just comes in and she's like, I'm Lova, I'm Ren's first love.
And then she kisses Ren.
Yeah.
And then this is one of my biggest pet peeves in books, is when there's like this huge like plot twist / cliffhanger at the end of a chapter, and then the next chapter goes on like nothing ever happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with this, where I was just like, we don't even know how Lei feels about it.
Right.
Like, it doesn't immediately hop into Lei's point of view of being like, oh my God, I just saw
Or Ren,
the woman I love.
like, pushing her away. Ren literally, like, doesn't turn her down until, like, book 3 when she was like, not now, Lova. Not now. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't even like, knock it off. Like, I'm not interested
Yeah.
in you. Stop. Like,
Yeah.
there was never a stop. It was almost like she purposefully didn't want Ren to turn Lova down just to, like, build Lei's anxieties, but there was really no driving force behind that. It wasn't like, no, if it had been Katai wanted her to marry Lova or something,
Yeah.
that would have sounded like
A
This is
political
my
marriage.
fiancé.
right.
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah.
Still would have sucked, but it would have made more sense.
right. It would have written better into the story, I think, than just like, let me randomly bring this person in and throw the jealousy card out there so that there's now even more weird stuff when Lei gets kidnapped and she can go home and just think about the fact that Lova and Ren are off together because
Yeah.
that's what they're going to do.
Right.
But
Now, let's hop into another pet peeve I had with this book. The word lover. To me, the word lover, and I know, and maybe it's just me, but calling yourself someone's lover to me means it's only physical. To me personally. So for her to be like, yes, Ren is my lover. Ren is my lover. And I'm just like, oh my God, shut up. I like the word partner. Perfect for Pride Month. I like the word partner because it shows that you guys have the same goals.
Mm-hmm.
You are working towards said goals together. And you are like to me, that is such a more powerful word than lover, because compared to partner, to me, lover is just only physical, and we're just here to make love, which is all they did in book 2, by the way. God, the amount of like not so sex scenes, but also sex scenes in there was ridiculous. Like, to me, they spent more time making love, or spent more time writing about them having sex than them actually getting to know each other.
that was something that bothered me a little bit about their relationship too, was I liked book 1 because I felt like they genuinely were like having connections.
And they slowly built a connection.
Yeah. Book 2 on, like by book 3, I almost was just like, but what do you like about each other?
Exactly.
Like,
She's beautiful. The amount of times that Lei would look at Ren while she's sleeping and be like, oh, she's just so beautiful. She's so beautiful. I was like, okay, but what else?
Yeah.
Is friggin' the Swan Princess.
what else is there?
Oh,
My favorite line of the whole movie. So yeah, honestly, for me, lover doesn't necessarily only connotate, like, I could see lover. I felt like it was used too much.
Yes.
It's kind of a cringy word for me in a way, but I think it's a connotation that our society and generation have like put on lover, where it feels more just physical, because it
Yeah.
should in etymology.
Etymology?
Can't
Is
talk.
it etymology or entomology? Which one is bugs? Which one is words? I always
I
get
think
those two mixed
ent
up.
is bugs.
Is bugs? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Correct us if we're wrong. audience.
etymology. Can't talk today.
It's a big word. It's fine.
The love should be more than partner. But obviously, like, nowadays, partner means more. It means more equal ground and
Yeah.
equality moving forward. Lover should encompass more emotion than just physical, but because of the way we use it in society, we use it as just we made love. But making love doesn't even mean making love the way it should be used.
Do people even make love anymore?
Only in romance novels.
Yeah. I don't
No.
know. I've read some recent romance novels, and they don't really make love. It's all passion.
It's
It's
Bridgerton.
all
No, I mean, we have used that term, I think, generationally nowadays. I wonder if almost said kids. I wonder if people under the age of like 20
Those
would
whippersnappers.
even use the term lover at all.
Probably not.
I wouldn't even use it, and I'm, how old am I? 34?
34.
I think so.
Talk about that.
But like, okay, we're millennials.
Yeah.
I don't even think millennials use it, honestly.
It just feels it feels like a cringy word.
It's aged.
Yeah.
I think what the connotation of the word lover, which has now become the part of this podcast that we're talking about apparently, I mean, obviously it depends on the person, but I think it implies something that's not established yet.
Okay.
Is kind of how I take it.
Yeah.
As like, they're my lover. We're seeing where it's going type thing.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I can
Because
see that.
even Katai, and every time they mentioned Shifu Kane and Katai, they always had to mention that Shifu Kane was
his
Katai's lover. And I was just like, can you just not? Like, we know.
I also kind of
Stop.
thought that what was going to have happened was that this is like the spoiler of the most spoilery spoilers, because it's like the very end of the book. I thought Katai had killed his wife.
I thought so too.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, nope, Lova did it. And I'm like, it felt lackluster to me.
It was like, we need to make a way to make sure that Lova and Ren are definitely never getting together.
Yeah,
Right.
that was real weird.
But it's fine, because Lova has Blue now, apparently, which was a weird
Oh,
pairing.
God.
Even though Blue made fun of her for liking girls.
Which, by the way, Blue is turned out to be my favorite character of the
I love
book.
Blue.
Blue deserved so much better than
Right.
freaking Lova, because
yeah.
Blue had such a great character growth. I even have it in my notes. Blue's character growth.
Yeah.
She had such a great character growth, and even though she was like the bully, the mean girl in book
Yeah.
1, her like trying to be strong for the others while not burdening them with her own pain and her own like mental issues that she's trying to deal with was so unique. And then her showing up at the battlefield and be like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I tried to wait, but they told us to wait, but I couldn't wait, so I just decided to come out into the battle. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yep. I loved her.
I loved Blue because, and like Jenna mentioned in the very beginning, how the author shows trauma in different
Yeah.
ways and how it affects people differently. And I think similar to Ren, Blue had the trauma of family.
Right.
Her
Her
father
dad,
was
freaking
like,
dad.
yeah, take her and hopefully I'll get rewarded for it. And like, even when they were in the freaking like
Sanctuary to be killed.
yeah, to be killed, her dad wasn't doing anything. He was like, yep, go ahead and do it. And
Yeah.
and that's like was really the big turning point for her. And I think it explained a lot of her character. And I think that's why I liked her a lot. And then just seeing her, like, even though she was never nice to anybody afterwards, she was more tolerant to them.
Yeah.
I loved the part, like, when, was it Lei hugged her, and she was just kind of like, don't get used to this, 9.
Yeah, that was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Blue. She grew on me a lot, and I really liked her in the third book. I didn't hate her the way I think you're supposed to in the first book, because I don't think Lei hated her the way you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, even the way Natasha wrote Lei's perspective on Blue, Lei still kind of always understood, like,
Yeah.
that she was going through some stuff. And wasn't like, oh, I hate her because she's
There was
pitted
something
against
that
us.
bonded all of them.
Right.
So whether you were a good friend, like you were best friends like Lei and Aoki, lovers like Lei and Ren,
Yeah.
or rivals like bully victim as Blue and Lei were, it was like there was something
Yeah.
that bonded all of them, and it was the trauma that they were going through.
Exactly. Yeah, it was. I liked Blue. I liked at the end. They all ended up at Lei's families, and Blue and
The apothecary
Aoki
shop,
were,
yeah.
like kind of became their family, you know. And that was pretty cool. Even though the twins went back to their family or whatever.
Which is completely understandable.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
It was like, yeah, of course you're going to go back to your family, but neither Aoki or Blue had family.
No.
So they ended up there. Although I did find it really weird, understandable, but weird. Understandable that I think this would happen in real life, kind of, but I never really see it happen in fiction, that Ren and Lei didn't stay together. Like,
Yeah.
usually you find your partner, the world has been trying to tear you apart. All right, we figure out what's going on with Ren stuff, and then me and Leia are gonna go, settle down and live in my family's farm or whatever, or in the sanctuary the Southern Sanctuary or whatever. But it was interesting to me that they were just like, yeah, okay, it's nice to be back. All right, you got your thing to do. I'm gonna go see my family. Goodbye. Like,
yeah, it definitely was a little bit. I was surprised by that.
Yeah,
but I was pleasantly surprised by that. I think because it showed they were still independent from each other.
right.
Because a lot of the third book, and I still stand by the third book being the best book, but a lot of the third book was them just pining after each other while trying to figure out their own shit that was going on. And when they like finally met each other. And it was like, it was that moment of like, oh, they've been away so long, they meet each other, and it's like, yeah, not everything's good, but it was so satisfying that they got to be back with each other again. They still never really worked through their whole reason why they were arguing in the first place.
She did have like a throwaway line of being like, well, I'm not ready to have sex with you right now because we still have stuff that we have to get through, but maybe we'll get there eventually. And then it just like, was that it? That was it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was I don't know. There were certain things about it that felt forced or felt like, to me, I was like, that doesn't read the way a normal book would read or like other books that I've read in this situation would read, like them not ending up together at the end. But I was like, I kind of like that it didn't end up that way.
It's refreshing, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to see it on another side of it, and especially because, although, admittedly, I don't really see why Ren stayed and held up her side of the, oh, well, I'm now the clan lord's daughter and the only surviving one.
I think it's because she wanted to ensure it didn't become corrupt again.
Yeah,
I think it was more of her like, I understand the bad stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
And I don't want somebody to just pick it up like I would have before I met Lei.
That makes sense. I think that would have been, that makes more sense than I was just feeling like, I would have been like, well, he wanted me to die anyway, so there was never really a plan on me surviving anyway, so bye guys. Like, I deserve to go relax in my sanctuary. Peace out. Like, which is probably very admittedly what I would have done. Been like, that's nice.
So I have a question that I don't know if I just skipped over it or if I just didn't read it right or what. What the heck happened to Lei's mom?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So this was I even have here her mom thread. That thread was completely dropped, and I don't know again if this is her trying to subvert like the whole like tropes thing. I was waiting for her mom to show up and be like, I am actually a huge part of the resistance, and I've been infiltrating the palace for the last, 15 years that she was missing?
Yeah, something like that.
Not 15, it was like 10 or something.
Yeah. It was in the first book. In the first book, the king, when he raped her, told her, and by the way, all the women that I had them take from your village, I did that raid, and I told them to kill them. Your mom's been dead this whole time. So he did say that to
I thought that was just him being like, oh, you have no, there's nothing there. I understand that maybe he was telling the truth, but like
it, you know what it was though? It felt like to me, for one, yes, it felt that way, but it also felt like, yeah, he's torturing her. And also it felt like, we're letting you know that it was not the Hanos. We're telling you right now, this one wasn't the Hanos.
Okay.
This was the king. He does claim his kills. Like,
I thought it was like, so what I thought was happening with her mom and what was going to happen, we were going to find out, was like her mom got taken, got tortured like she was, like raped like she was, and then like thrown to the pleasure houses. And she was going to find her mom over there because she had that whole thing with Mistress Mizami and all of those people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I thought she was going to find either her mom over there or she was going to find somebody to be like, yeah, she was here. This is what happened. This is how she died.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I never got that. And now that you say that the king said that he killed all the people from that village, I vaguely remember that, but I also was like, I just thought he was just saying it.
Same.
Right.
I thought he just was
torturing her because he was,
because she had no proof. I needed some sort of proof that wasn't from
the king,
the villain.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. That's where the storyline went, and that was the end of that. The only reason it felt like the only reason they used the mom thing was almost to give her a reason to be at the palace.
Yeah, to stay.
Yeah.
And like that was more than just like the threat of her family. Also, why'd they have to kill the dog?
Yeah, right? No, Yeah, that part kind of... I almost stopped reading the book at the very beginning.
I was like,
They got another dog. They replaced it.
dogs aren't replaceable.
I agree.
Name that dog after food, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt... I wish that there hadn't been a mystery of her mom and we'd just known right away that her mom had died, or that she had come back in another way and we'd found out something more about her later on. Because it did feel lackluster. Although, admittedly, that's what happens sometimes in war and life. You know, you don't get the satisfying answer that you want.
Yeah. I just think, like you said, if we had known from the beginning, as far as like, if it would have been like, I remember the raid on the village and watching my mom die or something like that, then it would have been...
Yeah.
Then she would have more reason to hate the king.
Exactly.
And want to join RAINN and the resistance people and to kill him.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Whereas it was like, I'm trying to find out my mom and find out what happened to her. And then just, oh, he told me. Which goes along with my critique of the dialogue part of this. There were so many times that the way the story was told was through dialogue in a very forced way. Mm-hmm. And... my specific example that I always think of when I was thinking about bringing this up was the bracelet that she had that was tied to Aoki. And so if she tried to do anything bad, the bracelet would tighten on both of their wrists.
Yeah.
I would have liked it to be written where, like, when Aoki came in, like, in the narrative part, it would have said something like, and she noticed the golden band around her. But no, it was like... Madame Himura or whatever, who was all like, remember that band on your wrist and how it's tied to her. It's like very directly stated in dialogue, which was annoying to me.
Yeah, there was quite a few moments in the dialogue that I just felt like where they didn't flow well. It felt forced.
Well, it felt even worse if you listened to the audiobook.
Oh, I bet.
Shall we talk about the audiobook?
Oh my gosh.
So, my experience with the audiobook, because I only listened to a minute, you could go into the whole thing of it. I had read the first book when it came out on Alcrate. I remember reading most of the second book a while later. It wasn't right when the second book came out, but it was a little while later. And I knew there was a third one coming out, and it wasn't out yet. So I didn't read the entirety of the second book. So when we decided to reread these, I went back and I was all like, oh, I could listen to the audiobook on Spotify, so I'll do a dual thing to try to get through it quicker, so that I could understand, or so that I could just go to the parts where I haven't read, and audiobook will help me do that quicker. And I listened to like a minute of it, and the narrator is probably a great narrator for any other book, but this one I do not feel like she fit it.
I think she would be a great narrator for children's book or middle grade book. The way that she, especially in the first one, I do think that she kind of like changed her style a little bit, because as the books come out every year, so it's like years between, she did not do voices. Oh, she did a voice for the king when his throat and his voice changed after she cut his throat.
Oh, yeah.
But all the other voices were the same, so half the time I didn't know who was talking. So I did both because I also wanted to get through these as fast as possible so we could have time to talk about them. So I did both physical book and then ebook for the second one, and audiobook, and then ebook and audiobook for the third one. And it was such a struggle because the way that she would talk would be like this like childlike, hopeful way of speaking that was just so uncomfortable to read or listen to, especially when they're discussing stuff of trauma or like going through like processing trauma. And it just felt so uncomfortable for me to listen to that. And the way that it was like the person that they chose was so wrong for this book, because just her tone, the way that she would speak and her tone that she used for these characters did not fit with trauma.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I felt like she was talking to me like I was a child.
Yes.
And she was like, well, isn't that so upsetting, isn't it? Like,
that's exactly how it was.
I felt.
Where she's like, this is how I feel. I have been attacked by the king. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I do not recommend the audiobook for anyone going out there. And I'm sure, like you said, I'm sure this narrator would be fine other places.
I think she would be great. She's got a nice voice. She just not for this book with these topics that are being discussed.
Should be a great kindergarten teacher.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was very condescending.
Yeah.
The way that she spoke. So yeah, that was really rough. I suffered through it just because I needed to get through this book, and audiobook helps me get through it faster. Because I can do dishes.
Yeah.
I can drive. And then on my way here, I was like, okay, I'm going to start another audiobook on the way here to record. And then I was like, I need a break.
Actually, no.
I'm going to listen to music instead.
There you go. I was going to bring up, because you talked about the king and his voice changing. That was another thing I really liked about this book, was the king's reactions to everything.
Yeah, you saw the fear.
After the first book, when he almost died, it wasn't like he almost died, so he's just going to be angry and he's going to be worse. And it's like, he was angry, but he was also freaking terrified.
He was scared.
And I loved that. And I loved that Lay saw it too, when they brought her back to the palace, and she was like, she was scared to see him, and she's like, oh no, like, what's he gonna do to me? And he did not want to be anywhere near her.
Right.
And I'm like, that was kind of really nice.
But it was also his, or like a way for him to regain his own control, and being like, yeah, we're going to get married. Even though I never want to be near you.
Yeah.
I don't even want to touch you because
you so much.
You try to kill me. Yeah. The way that she did that and like try to get control over the situation of Lay returning and being like, no, she returned to me of her own volition. I am strong.
I once again, I think that this would have been another place where it would have been written very well if it had been a big, huge Prior of the Orange Tree type book where it had multiple points of view and was a big, long one book thing. If we could have seen the king's reasoning behind this, because it did feel a little out of left field. Like, I don't want to look at you or touch you, but I'm going to give you main character armor by now not killing you. I'm going to make you my moon chosen, and you're going to be a sign of why I'm right. And you know what? That's not good enough either. Let's marry you. Like, to me, I had to understand the reasoning of the king on my own and try to like look into his motivations, which made me feel like, from his point of view, I would have killed. Like, I'm sorry, something tries to kill me, I'm killing it first. Like,
yeah.
Especially the way he explained to her, like, oh, I wasn't first in line to be born. I wasn't the first heir. I killed my brothers because I wanted this throne. So he would have been the type of person to kill first, ask questions later.
Yeah.
So I wish that we could have seen him, like, have his counsel and have people telling him, what if we did this? And he's like, no, kill her. And he's like, but listen, then we could get this. And then it would have been like him changing his mind a little bit more.
Also his reasoning to take her to see his wife and pregnant wife.
That was
so weird to me.
I was gonna say that was something that I did when it came up, and he like came in the middle of the night and like grabbed her and everything like that. I'm like, oh no, this is where he's going to try to get his confidence back.
Yeah.
Of like,
raping
hey, you
her.
can't do anything, and he was gonna rape her again or something. And then he took her to his pregnant wife, and I was like,
and put a ginkgo leaf on her belly.
Please bless my son.
Right.
Like, so was he so unreliable and very like deranged, and to the point that he believed what he is telling
blessed.
everybody, and that she was blessed, and that, okay, now I want you to bless my child. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't
having a point of
clear.
view would have been great.
Yeah, I almost wish that we had watched him spiral more.
Yes.
Because to me it was like, oh, we live in this society where there's all these different castes, and yeah, paper castes are kind of the lower caste, but at the same time, it is what it is. To like, actually, this is really unfair, and now there's raids happening. Why are there raids happening? What is the king afraid of? Why is he having raids on his own village? Like, I want more of like his political like madness, almost spiraling out of control. Like him getting convinced that there's a spy in his midst, watching him kind of like go from a king that was not ever fair and was kind of cruel to completely irrational and lashing out and killing everyone.
Especially in regards, I want like the Cruel Prince Cardan moment,
right,
where he's obsessed with her and forgets about anything else and only wants to like focus on Lei and like getting his revenge or retaining his power over her again. I want that like spiraling, like you said.
Right.
That would have been so fascinating to read.
Yeah, the third book did feel a little bit like Lei had main character armor. Not gonna lie.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it was
Well, she's-
5,000%.
She trained for 6 months, so now she knows all the martial arts.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
perfect.
And
Yeah.
she can do
It was barely 6 months. The whole thing at the very end, they're like, I've been
been
away
a
from my house for a
year.
year. And I'm like, 1 year? This has only been 1 year? Didn't they say the paper girls aren't even paper girls anymore? So shouldn't it have been more than a year?
So hang on. She was with the king for 6 months.
Right.
And then she was with the Hanos for 6 months. And then after everything finished, then she left and she was back at her home for a year. Right? Wasn't there like a year
There
in
was
between
something- I thought it was
the
like
end of the
3
book and
months
the...
or something like that.
Yeah,
only
it
3
was
months?
3 months.
Yeah.
Like
I thought it was like a
3-month
whole year. That's
break.
why I was like, yeah, they've been away. Her and Ren have been away for a whole year from
No,
each other.
it's like
Oh,
3 months
no,
or
it was
something.
oh
like
my
3
God.
months.
I did a whole 11 months without my husband.
Yeah.
When we're waiting for his green card to go through. So, you know.
But you did time together after. You did get married and live together for a while. They were just like, we're in love. I forgive you for everything. All right, war's over. Peace out, buddy. I'll see you at the sanctuary in 3 months.
I did do 4 months to plan my wedding in America.
Yeah.
And granted, that time flew by, so it wasn't even that big of a deal. But we also didn't have to reestablish a government, so you know.
Yeah. Jeez. So selfish.
I know. What was I doing?
What were you doing?
Planning a wedding.
Having tea.
Rekindling our friendship to start the Brawlers Book Guild.
Yes.
All
Oh
right,
my
guys. Is there anything else we want to bring up and talk about? I know there's a lot in this book, but I think we hit big points. Do you
I
guys have any
have-
last?
One final note.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to talk about Keitai and his
Hyper focus.
his hyper focus, and like he had those moments. The author did a great job of being like, he is not a good guy from the very beginning.
Yeah.
From the absolute very beginning, where she's like, I saw hunger in his eyes. Nah, I couldn't have. And then when he found out that they were in love, he was like, yes, I'm going to use you guys and basically kill you because of your love. This is perfect. You've fallen into my hands perfectly.
I did think for a minute there, I was like, watch. Instead of Lei sacrificing herself, what's going to happen is Lova's going to sacrifice herself.
Oh.
And that was going to be the reason why she came by and said that she loved Lei. And that was going to be the whole, like, purpose. And then it was like, Lei, sacrifice yourself. And Lei's like, I'm going to do it. And goes to Nick Carter. And then I actually thought she killed herself after the explosion was going to be her, like, killing
you know
herself.
what? I'm really.
But I thought that it was going to be like, and then Ren used that power to bring her back
That's
to
what I was
life.
gonna say, yes.
I thought that's where it was going.
I wanted it to work. I wanted Lei to actually kill herself. It not sounds terrible. But I wanted it to work because she was so set on it, and it was that like, oh, we are all about to die moment. And I thought that's what happened. That's what that big explosion was her sacrifice for Ren, and then Ren's like emotion into that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
blowing everybody back, but also like bringing Lei back too.
Yeah, I would have loved that for her to be like, oh, you wanted my power? Well, sucks for you because I'm actually, or like, you wanted her to sacrifice herself for my power.
Yeah.
Well, sucks for you. I'm going to use all of that power that she has given me to bring her back.
Yes.
That's what I wanted, where she was just been like, oh, well, there's no more magic.
Yep.
And I do like that the freaking the world was like, you know what, you guys don't deserve magic anymore.
I thought that was beautifully written because it was like you've been watching this sickness that has been bad and it's been horrible. And in other stories and realms and stuff like that and fictional worlds, what happens is it gets really bad, and then we overthrow the king and it all comes back to beautiful life and everything's flourishing. You don't hit that point of everything's so bad that it disappears.
Final Fantasy VII.
Well, okay, I didn't play the Final Fantasies. But yeah, usually you don't, that's not often written where it actually genuinely like disappears. And even after the end of the book, like, yeah, there's a little bit of magic in the sanctuary, but like it's not back in the world. It's not like, oh, and we're starting to heal and it's all coming back now. Like they say, like eventually it will, but it's not necessarily right now. I thought that was cool.
We messed up.
But yeah, I kept waiting for it to be like, this is the reason Lova's been so, like, in love with her. She's going to be the sacrifice and take that away from Lay. And then it was going to be like, that's the whole point of it. But really, there was just no freaking point other than the jealousy.
Yeah.
I will say, going off of Katai too, I think they wrote him so well in that, like, they wrote him as very charming, and everybody really gravitates towards him, but he had this, like, deadness behind his eyes every time they talked to him, and, like, you could, like, yeah, he's smiling, but you could tell he means something different when he's saying so. I loved that he distrust.
Was a great character to hate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Throughout the whole series. Or just be, like, super suspicious of, and then once you realize what he's doing, to just hate. Mm-hmm. He was, she did a very good job with that.
Yeah.
I did have a thought, too. We were talking about Blue deserving better or whatever. And I felt like Aoki deserved better, too. I wanted her to almost find someone, not necessarily, like, a love interest, but, like, someone that could eventually develop into a love interest later, you know? Someone that she connects to that's not just Lay. But I also felt like, what's his face? The wolf guard guy that trained them? Kenzo. I wanted him to, like, I almost wanted him with Chenna before she died. I wanted him to, like, come around and, like, fall in love with one of the paper girls and take care of them.
Okay.
But he could have been good with Blue. My
last thing that I wanted to bring up was, we talked about the disability representation of Nina, but also the asexuality representation of Nina in the very end, when they're like, and if you really need to, you could just go hook up with Kenzo like everybody else is or whatever. And she's like, yeah, that doesn't really interest me. And they're like, oh, well, who then? And she's like, no one. It just, none of it interests me.
That was my brother's job, not me.
Yeah. She's like, it was fun to flirt and everything, and it's fun to, like, tease, but I don't really care.
Yeah, I liked that too.
I love that. Lots of representation in this book.
There was lots of representation. I have to say, like, this book did a wonderful job of not just trauma, but specifically trauma that women go through.
Yes.
Like, it talks about racism. Yes, it talks about trauma of other people, but this is specifically the trauma of and powerlessness that women go through all over the world, all the time, and how men aren't held accountable for it, and how they'll use women to further things like that. Whether it's Katai, who's using his daughter as a weapon, or the king who's using them for their bodies, and how awful and horrible and scary it can be to be a woman, and how powerless you can feel. And I thought that was so well done in this book.
I loved that they ended up turning the palace into just a woman's sanctuary.
Oh my God,
or
the best.
Specifically, anyone who identifies as a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the only conclusion that they could get. Screw the government. We'll just have complete anarchy as long as there's a safe space for women.
Also, I loved that the queen became part of their family.
Oh yeah.
Even though
really
none
fun.
of them, like, knew her, and they ended up, like, raising his son, like, as paper girls. But to me, it was like, I wanted to be a girl. I wanted them to give birth. And I was like, because he was so insistent that it was a boy. And I was like, I want it to be a girl.
Yeah, just spite him. Freaking Henry VIII over here.
Yeah. But I loved that they saw her and recognized her as one of them, rather than seeing her as another monster and killing her because she was with his child.
I'm not gonna lie, I think about, like, if she wrote another series in this world in the far future of the king's son growing up, and what that would be like, who he would be, and, like, how people would respond to him if they figured out who he was.
Yeah.
That was something I thought about. Like, would he be, like, cruel like his dad in a nature sense, but trying to do the right thing because of how he was nurtured? Or would it be like somebody finds out, oh, this is the king's son, and now they have to either A, try to turn him against everything to start a new regime, or try to kill him, whatever it might be.
I just want a happy ending. I want him to be just an adorable, lovable bull demon and is just friendly with everybody, and was brought up right and can treat women perfectly.
I also love that they named him after love when the king was so derisive of it. And he was like, love, it's the worst thing that could happen to you. It makes you weak. And then they're like, guess what? We're naming your son Love.
Yeah.
But I also want to say, too, the way they killed the king was great.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it wasn't overly, I mean, the whole battle, all of that felt flourish and well done. But Ren, like, we didn't even see Ren attack him. We didn't see her, like, mortally injure him. And her just being like, we beat you, and killing him right there, like, that was perfect. Not having him fight back, not having it, like,
Yeah, by the way,
big
cut
thing.
the head off. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I would have
guys,
done.
I thought so,
would've
too.
just been like, okay, I'm going to stab him right where I was told to stab him. No, cut the head off.
yep,
Like,
sorry, double tap.
yeah.
I like, because there was a moment right before she's about to stab the dagger into him, or the knife into him, that I was like, oh, is she going to give him mercy? Because,
Yeah, she had that moment of, like,
And
I
I
could let
was-
him bleed out, it's fine.
yeah. And I was like, nope,
Do it.
don't do it.
Nope.
Just keep going.
Sometimes it's worth it.
Just do it, yeah. So,
That tells a lot about us, guys.
only in a book sense, not in our real life.
All right.
Do we want to
Anything
talk
else?
about ratings?
Yeah. What did you guys rate the book?
Books?
Books.
Books.
Are we going to do individual ratings for each of the books?
Yeah.
Okay, because I did a whole series rating, so I have to think about
okay.
it.
I could do individual and series. I'm ready for that.
me, okay, so book one, I probably gave about 4 stars. There were things that pulled me away from it, like her mom's storyline. The dialogue wasn't the strongest. It wasn't my favorite book I've read, but it definitely was up there, and I liked the overall feel of it. Book 2, I gave 2 stars. Sorry, book 2, hated you, but I pushed through, and I didn't hate you enough to stop reading the entire series. Although, then again, this was homework, so
Yeah,
I
we
had less
had to.
choice. Book 3, I think I gave 3.5 stars. However, after discussing it, I would amend that and probably up it to closer to 4 again. I think there were things that drew me away. Like, I didn't care about their romance at all, and their pining annoyed me, and all of that stuff. But the way she wrote the rest of the story made everything else better, I'd say. Overall, for the entire series, I'd give it a 4.
I would say for the first book, and now this is going to be very skewed because I cheated and did not actually reread the first book recently. I did a What Happened to the First Book of Girls of Paper
Do
and
that
Fire.
all the time. I did that in Cruel Prince when I had to read the second 2 because I didn't want to put myself through the first one again.
Yeah.
I think, and it's something I thought about, of if the first book was a standalone book and at the end she just killed the king and got away, I probably would have given it like a 4-star.
I almost wish that's what had happened, but at the same time, I like that a lot of the other stuff that
Yeah, there was
happened
a lot more to be said, and that's good. But if it was just a standalone book like that, I probably would have given it like a 4-star. But because it was part of this entire series, I think I gave it like a 3.5. Second book, I agree, was more like a 2-star rating for me because it was just the middle book. It was the definition of just the middle book. And then the last book, I would give a 4-star. It's on the precipice of between a 3.5 and a 4-star, but I think total as a series, what I gave it was 3.5 stars.
I think we're all basically the same because book 1 I gave 4 stars, only because, yeah, like you said, it was a very heavy book, and I think if things were done slightly different, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. Book 2 was 2, and then book 3 was 3.5 for me, only because I probably would have stopped reading after book 2 if I had continued the series and when book 2 originally came out and I just picked it up right away. I probably would not have read book 3 after this. Mm-hmm. But because we did homework, so book 3, yeah, 3.5 for me. I did like that how they tied up everything in the end, minus Blue and freaking Lova. And then overall the series, I'd give a 3.5. Which is relatively low for me. I'm usually more generous with my stars, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a solid book. I think there's a lot that could have been worked on and done better, but
Yeah.
I think
I'd be
overall,
really
I liked reading
interested
it.
to see future work she does, because I think this was debut novels for her. Usually, James Patterson Presents books are he's helping novelists get out there.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see how she grows in her writing style in the future. I'd definitely read books by her again, If it's trilogies and the second book is as bad, I might not read the third.
I'll read standalone books by her again. Yeah, no, I think she was a good author. I think she has, now everybody's their own author and they can either do what I would like them to do or they can do what they want to do, and I think they should do what they want to do and not what I want them to do. But I think if she grows in the ways that we had critiqued this book, I think her work would be something I would read a lot.
Yeah.
So I am looking her up, and she does have some novels from like 2013. But she hasn't had anything other than these.
Oh, wow.
She was part of a collection of short stories that came out in 2021, but since the Girls of Fate and Fury released, she hasn't had any other books since then, so we'll have to see what else she has in store.
Yeah, we'll see what the future holds.
Or is she going to be a Harper Lee and she's like, I've told my story, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to get out there.
All right. So before we move on to the quote, do we have what everybody is reading?
Right
now that we have finished our assigned reading of Girls of Paper and Fire, what have we moved on to?
What breaks have we moved on to?
Right now I'm reading Lore of the Wilds, which is one of the romantasy books. It's the first romantasy book that Fairy Loot sent out. And I am only one chapter in, so I have no idea how I'm going to like this. But yeah, I'm curious about it. That's a Fae book.
It's a beautiful book.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it's real pretty.
Nice.
We don't judge book covers here. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
What about you, Megan?
For audiobook, I am doing The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. And then I'm also going to pick up for my physical book, what's the one you always talk about, the secret one that you loaned me?
Lies We Tell Ourselves?
Yeah. I'm going to pick up right when I get home, The Lies We Tell Ourselves by... Who's the author?
Robin Talley.
Robin Talley.
Yeah.
That you loaned me.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it'll be a good... I think it's a good palate cleanser book, you know?
Yeah.
Quick, easy read.
Yeah.
But still
Also
meaningful.
good for Pride Month.
Yeah.
Also, a
Mine
solid
is not
Month one.
Pride Month. Sorry, guys.
How dare you?
It was a pretty book, and I had to read it, but I had to get through homework first. So
We're at the end of Pride Month. It's fine. I said that I was going to do a palate cleanser from assigned reading, but I'm probably not because I feel like I got to make up headway. So I'm going to read our book that we're doing this year with Angela, and it's Megan's book, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi.
I am so excited.
Who's the author for that? I was trying to read it. It's so far
Shannon-
away.
Oh, Shannon Chakraborty.
Shannon Chakraborty. So that's...
I did not see the author for mine.
I read the first, the 3 introductions that it has.
Okay, yes. It has 3 introductions.
That's so...
It has like a prayer,
Yeah.
and then it has a intro from the narrator.
It's got a disclaimer of hey,
Yeah.
this is set in an actual place in an actual time, but it's not fully accurate.
Yeah.
And then it's got an introduction.
That's
And
great.
then it's got
But
the
it's
first
all
chapter.
important.
Okay.
It is all important to the actual story.
So
I hope you'll be messaging me.
Oh, I'm sure I
As
will.
you-
I did it with Angela.
Excellent.
So I imagine I will.
I very much did it to Jenna as well when I read her book.
Yes. It's so funny. Okay, so Angela read my book, and she didn't message me. And I was like...
She didn't message me either.
You
I even
didn't
had to
message me.
hunt her down.
But we talked about it before she left. We hung out the day before she went to Europe. So I was talking to her about it. I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't you message me? I wish you would message me. But I don't know why. I just get this little flutter of happiness when I find out that people that I've introduced or brought together talk outside of me. And it's silly that it makes me excited that my sister's reaching out to you and Angela, who she's known for more than half of her life. But at the same time, I just had this moment of oh, yay, they talk on the outside.
Well, I had to be fair, Angela's book, there was a lot that I really wanted to say to her. That I just want to say about it. So when I was reading it, I was like, I need to talk to somebody about this. You're the only one that knows.
I should probably read that too, her book.
So, yeah, I was really excited to talk to somebody about it. And I think we don't have anything set in stone yet, but I think we all have a lot to talk about. So I think this might be more than just one episode thing.
Ooh, yes.
But we will see. And you guys will, if you keep listening, find out more about it later this summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Stay tuned. We'll give you actual dates as soon as we nail them down for
as soon
as
as
soon
we
as we
finish the
actually
books.
finish the books and get set up to record these sessions.
Yes.
But
Which we're all over halfway through. I've read 2.
Yeah, I think we've all
You're
read
on
at
3.
least 2. Angela's read 3.
Yeah, so she's kicking butt over here.
Well,
is.
she also wanted to knock it out before she went to Europe, so she...
I love how Angela was like, I'm just a really slow reader. I like to enjoy it. And then here she is being like a book ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
she's so funny. We were talking and she goes, I just don't do well with assigned reading. Like when you've assigned me reading, I was like, none of us do. We all did this to ourselves and we don't know what we were thinking, but we can't stop assigning books to each other and we're all over here going, I don't do well with assigned reading. Crap. Okay, let me read this.
Wait, so which book are you reading right now then, Megan?
I am
Jasmine
on
Throne.
yours.
You're on
Throne,
Jasmine Throne. Okay.
Which I'm doing my palate cleanser before I hop back into homework.
So am I doing this out of order? Wait.
No,
you're
you're
fine.
fine.
Okay.
You're fine. So your last book is
book.
Jenna's.
Jenna's. Okay, yeah, because I give it to Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's
once
right.
you do,
so
once
we're at the halfway point, so we're reading each other's books.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, so we got to just message each other about the books. That's what's gonna happen.
Since we both have big books,
Yes.
I think we'll be.
There'll be a lot of talk.
Yeah, because I like you said, I'm gonna finish Lies We Tell Ourselves pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take you long.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
Oh, that was a long tangent.
yes.
Yeah, sorry,
all the
guys.
tangents. All
I
right.
got excited.
So let's end with a quote.
Yes, as always, we will end this with a quote, and when we do it for a book, we end it on a quote from the books. So this one is from Girls of Paper and Fire. Which book did it say? Did it say which one?
This is Girls of Fate and Fury.
This is from the last book, Girls of Fate and Fury. Storytelling is a wonderful kind of magic, don't you think? It is how we keep people alive in our hearts long after they are gone.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it
And
is.
perfect for our books club.
All right, guys. Well, happy end of Pride Month, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed all of our Pride podcast episodes. And trust me, we will still be talking about gay things in the future.
This does not stop us, ever.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a good one.
And please like and follow us and find us on social media so that you guys can be kept up to date on what we're doing next, too, because sometimes we get out of these podcasts and we start talking and then we decide to post something to keep you guys updated. So find us on social media and follow us there, too.
Yes.
Thanks.
And please tell friends
Yes.
and family.
Share. Like, post, subscribe.
Yes.
Click.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.